grateful that you can join me for another week. I try to do this each week at the same time on Tuesdays here on the YouTube channel, which is 9 a.m. Central U.S. Chicago time. And so grateful that you're here. If you're watching a recording, know that you can still type in your questions throughout the week, and I'll engage them next week on the live. What I normally do is I lead us through, give a little content, and today I'm going to talk about getting curious about parts that come up around change using the internal family systems model. And then I'll lead us into a meditation. And then I take your questions. And again, if you're watching live, I'll take them live. If you're watching a recording, please feel free to put your questions in the chat, and I'll do my best to address them next week on the live. For those of you that are new, I'm Tim Fortescue, an IFS trained practitioner, and really resonate with the spirituality of IFS. The model has been so life-changing for me, and I'm so grateful to share that with others. You can find more about me on my website, faithfullygrowing.com. And while you're there, I encourage you to check out the Faithfully Growing Community Annual Pass. What this is a community that gives you the option to drop in weekly to ask your questions live via Zoom about IFS and to connect with others on their parts work journey. And there's a drop-in for IFS practitioners as well as a drop-in for everyone. And it takes place on Thursday each week. And with the annual pass, the community is available all the time for a $9 a month donation. But once in a while, a few times a year, I open up the annual pass. And those doors are open now. And for $108, which is still $9 a month paid in a whole year, in addition to IFS resources, you get the No Bad Parts Challenge, which gives you a structured way to go through Dick Schwartz's book, No Bad Parts, and I've recorded the exercises. You get access to all of the courses and other content that I put out throughout the year, as well as a monthly workshop. And you don't have to worry about giving donations all year. It's all included in that $108 Faithfully Growing Community Annual Pass. You can get more information on that at faithfullygrowing.com/annual pass, or you can click the link that is down in the notes below this video. And if you have questions, you can always send me an email to tim@faithfullygrowing.com. But so grateful to be with you today, and type your questions in if you're joining live, and if you're watching a recording, go ahead and type those in too. And know too that you can always make a nonprofit tax-deductible donation to keep IFS accessible to all at faithfullygrowing.com, and click that donate button. And it helps me to provide things like this and to just producing content, and it helps me to subsidize some of my one-on-one and group coaching slots. All right, welcome Faze, and goodbye. Glad you were able to join for a bit. If you haven't already clicked and liked the channel, you can go ahead and subscribe. I encourage you to do that if you can. But let's look into our content for just a bit about embracing change with compassion with an IFS lens. And I know many of you, if you're joining in the US, today is election day here. And the idea of change and what's to come and is coming up for me, and it may be coming up for you. And just in general, change is one of the constants of life. Everything's changing. Nothing remains the same. And so let's look at those parts. And I know with me, when I transitioned to being an IFS practitioner, I had worked in another capacity in ministry for 20 years. And that was a big change that came up. It took risks. It took not having all the answers and moving forward with those parts of me that wanted all the answers and was okay with a little risk. And so be aware of that. And particularly, I know during that time of a career transition, I noticed my doubter part of saying, this is not going to work. This is a bad idea. And so be aware of your parts that come up. And again, change is inevitable, it's a natural part of life, but it often brings discomfort. And another way to look at that is it brings opportunities for trailheads and to get curious and to seek to understand and connect with our parts more and allow them to connect with us, who we are at our core, more. Because parts that resist change are usually trying to protect, doing the best that they can. They're younger, they're aiming to keep us safe from what they perceive as danger or what they may have known as danger when they were younger, but they don't know that we're older now, that things are different now. And so when we understand that resistance, we can acknowledge that it isn't bad, that it's rooted in past experiences, and we can approach that resistance and those resistant parts with more curiosity and compassion. And so some questions that you may want to ask, and I'll do this some when we reflect in just a bit, but when you check in with your parts, it may be helpful to ask, how do your parts respond to change? Which parts feel most resistant? What are their concerns? And then how can you support and reassure these parts? And some strategies to navigating that change may be acknowledging and validating the fears that your parts have, offering reassurance and reminding them that you're leading, but it makes sense that they may not trust that now and that you're open to questions, you're open to their concerns, but there is a different way forward. And can you negotiate with those parts on what that may be? And that we're not trying to put them out of a job. We need them. That doubter part of me regarding a career change really has good questions. And there's some wisdom that it brings to me. And that's true for all of our parts. They have glimmers and aspects of self, and that can lead to confidence and courage and whatnot. And just create safety, creating a safe place for those parts as you build trust with them, and just pausing and grounding practices on a regular basis so that they know that you're serious, that you're not going to forget about them. And so I invite you now to just tune in to your parts and just listen to their concerns about change for a bit and see if from a place of maybe just a drop of compassion and reassurance, see if you can respond. And so let's see if we can together embrace change, because it's a journey. And if we can be open and offer self-compassion to ourselves and to our parts, it can lead and does lead to healing and hope because it's there. So let's begin our meditation. Take a moment and find a comfortable position. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. Just take a couple deep breaths at your own pace. And with each breath, allow your body to relax a little more, releasing any stress, tightness. Maybe help to let your shoulders drop, soften the jaw. Just let your mind start to quiet. And today we're going to explore just for a bit how our parts respond to change. Just see if we can meet them with more openness and compassion. So it may be helpful to set an intention, something like I'm here to listen, hold space for my parts, or I'm open to understanding and supporting the parts of me that are afraid of change. Just begin focusing on your internal world and those parts that are showing up. Who's there? And if you can, with each breath, just imagine drawing in just a little more of a sense of calm and stability. And as you exhale, let go of anything that is distracting you. Likely a part. You don't even have to, we're not trying to breathe our parts away, but if they could give us some space, if there is something that's the opposite of calm or seeking to understand, it's likely another part. See if it could just give you a little space so we can see you from a different perspective and you can see it. Just feel yourself becoming more present and rooted and aware. Now gently acknowledge the parts of you that respond to change and let them step forward if they'd like to. You might imagine opening a door and inviting them in. Or simply, maybe it's that they're here with you. And just ask, what parts come up when I think about change? Maybe it's a part that feels anxious, worried about what could go wrong. Maybe there's a part that resists, digging its heels in to keep things the same. Perhaps there's a part that feels excited, curious about new possibilities. See if some of that energy has a lot of self. See if those other parts could take some of that in. They don't have to. We just want to be curious for a bit. Just take your time and know that I encourage you to watch the recording of this and pause it if you need more time. Just notice who's there without judgment and just observe. If there's a particular part that stands out, focus your attention on it. See if you can visualize this part. Sense where it resides in your body. Maybe you feel a tightness in your chest or a knot in your stomach. Perhaps you have an image or a sense of this part's energy. See if you can greet this part with kindness like you would an old friend. You might say something like, "Hello, I see you. Thanks for showing up today." Check and see how it's responding, how it's feeling toward you, how you're feeling toward it. Is there just a bit of curiosity? If there's a lot of resistance, likely those parts are coming in, and just see if they could soften back and let them know that they can have a chance to share in the future too. But for now, we're getting to know this part. But they matter, they belong. You're not going to forget about them if you can honestly say that. Now turn back to this part that has shown up, or maybe it's a group of parts, or maybe you just need to be with your parts and allow them to chime in as they want to. Do what works best for you. Just to ask, maybe if there's some anxiety, why are you feeling anxious or resistant to change? What are you afraid might happen? And from that place of curiosity and openness, allow the part to share whatever it needs to. And listen carefully. Perhaps it carries a memory of a time when change brought pain or instability. Maybe it's trying to protect you from feeling out of control. Whatever it shares, let it know that you hear it and that its concerns are valid. Sometimes it's helpful to check in and see how old this part is or group of parts and remind them how old you are today. We need them. They don't have to carry the realities of change by themselves. They're not alone. Maybe offer some more reassurance to this part and let it know that you, who you are today, at your core and all of your belovedness, is here. And you may need to earn its trust a little more, but if it'll allow you to do that, you'll be able to show it that you're capable of leading through change. You might say, I understand why you feel this way, and I'm here to take care of you. Or maybe we'll go through this together one step at a time. And if it feels right, you can place a gentle hand on the area of your body where you feel this part's energy, offering warmth and care. Maybe let that warmth and care ripple out to those parts that are observing. And imagine breathing calm, steady energy into this part, to your whole system. With each inhale, draw in a sense of peace. And with each exhale, release tension or fear. Visualize this part and your whole system softening, feeling safer, more understood. If there are other parts present, like an excited or curious part, invite them to offer support as well. Notice how these different energies can balance each other, bringing a sense of harmony. We're about to wrap up, but just continue just for a minute. Picture a safe and comforting space for all your parts, a place where they feel secure and supported. Maybe it's a cozy room, a serene nature setting, anywhere that brings a sense of peace, belovedness, that you're loved. Your whole system is loved. And just imagine all your parts resting there, knowing they're cared for and protected. Know that you can return to this place anytime. Just thank your whole system, and specifically this part that you focus on today, for its courage, and let them know that you can spend more time. You would like that if they'd like that. Then when it feels right, you can bring your awareness back to where you are. You can open your eyes if they were closed, and continue about your day. But thanks so much for joining me for this meditation. Take good care of yourself and all the parts that you have, and see if we can share some of that groundedness with others. So thanks so much for joining. And hey, Jace, thanks for joining in. And Zoe, I'll hang around for just a bit if you have questions. And know too that you can send me an email at any time, tim@faithfullygrowing.com. Or if you're watching a recording, put your questions in the chat and I'll engage with those next week. And but so grateful for this community. Take care. Have a good week, and look forward to connecting again soon.